to the Las Palmas Branch Library. We're happy to be here today, and I'll explain the purpose of the meeting in just a minute. First, a couple of housekeeping items. Our bathrooms are located just going outside this door. The ladies to the right, the men's to the left. Tonight's meeting is being live streamed via YouTube, and it'll be archived for those individuals that did not have an opportunity to be here because of weather or other circumstances. The meeting will be recorded and will be available for them to view. It's important that we share with you not only the startup of the renovation project, what is included in phase 1 and then in phase 2, the proposed design, so that you're informed of what to expect in terms of the renovations and improvements that we plan to make going forward. As you know, as we announced, we plan to close the Las Palmas Branch Library on Monday, March 30th. Later in the program, our Assistant Director for Public Services will tell you our plans regarding interim service, as well as how we will make the continue to make Las Palmas Branch Library available for voting in the municipal elections in May and possibly June if there's a runoff. When we get to Q&A, if you could please come to the podium and speak to the microphone so that we can record your questions. I will also be sharing with you some questions if I brought them with me. They were submitted in writing. I'm sure Jessica has a copy of them. Oh, Kathy has a copy of them. So before I invite Kathy Donnellan, who's our Assistant Director for Support Services and works with various teams, not only internal teams, but external teams in our capital projects. She will be talking to you or sharing with you the phase 1 design, which we brought to the committee some time ago. I forget how long ago, but we'll just review again the main improvements that are being planned for phase 1, and she'll explain all of that, what is phase 1, and then phase 2 is the proposed design. I also want to take this opportunity to recognize some of our staff. I did recognize Dale McNeil, Assistant Director for Public Services, Kathy Donnellan, Assistant Director for Support Services, Jessica Zurita, who's Assistant to the Director, and members of the communication teams who work under her. Our branch manager, Lily, is here as well. She and her team serves the community. We have Edward Mayberry, who's our Executive Assistant, Jake Odlin, who is our Public Services Administrator, and I see Crescencia Huff, who is our Coordinator of Children's Services, and Mark Losell, who is our Capital Projects Manager. And from Public Works, we have Stacy Gonzalez, representing Public Works. So we have a lot of staff, city staff, both library staff and Public Works here, because this is a very important meeting. We want to hear your input and feedback once we present to you the proposed design for phase 2. Let's see, let me look at my notes, see if I have forgotten anything. I think I covered all of the housekeeping. I did the welcome. Councilwoman Castillo will not be able to make it this evening. She has reviewed. We have shared the proposed design for phase 2 with her, so she's aware of what's being proposed. Kathy will explain what are the next steps after we present this to you. We will also have been talking to staff because we figured that some stakeholders would not be able to make it again because of the weather, to provide opportunities to share this presentation via our website, and we'll use other strategies as we move along. So with that, I'll invite Kathy Donnellan to start the presentation, the actual presentation. Thank you all.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And also, I just want to thank everyone who's here with us in person, but also watching, for your patience. It's been a little bit of a long road to get here, but we're very excited to show you this information. And then also, just to reiterate, the branch library will be closing on March 20th. to begin the construction. So we're really excited to be here. So as Ramiro mentioned, there's actually 2 phases to the project because we got funding for Las Palmas Branch Library renovation in the 2017 bond. But then given all the wonderful aspirations of the community that we heard at the original input meeting, the Library Board of Trustees supported taking Las Palmas back through the 2022 bond process so that we could add money to the project. So that's why there's kind of 2 phases. I did want to assure you, though, that when we close for construction, we'll be doing all the work at once. Las Palmas won't be closing twice. So for the phase 1, some time ago, we went through a community input process, got wonderful aspirational kind of vision for the branch. And then the Library Board of Trustees did, back then, approve the design for phase 1. And I'll share some visuals from that tonight. And then, as I mentioned a moment ago, because it simply, quite frankly, wasn't enough money to do what we really wanted to do, with the input from the community, we went back through the bond process and got additional funds. It actually more than doubled the project budget. Right now, we're in kind of the conceptual design phase because we want to do this touch base with the community to get your further input before we move to the next step, which is getting approval by the Library Board of Trustees. So phase 1, the original bond funding from the 2017 bond was $1.7 million. Whenever we do a project, our San Antonio Public Library Foundation raises money to supplement the project budget. And so they were successful in raising an additional $160,000 in private funds for the project. So every dollar raised, we get to increase the scope. So that was very exciting with that support. We also work closely with other city departments like Office of Sustainability to bring resources to the project. So we secured another $106,000 to do an LED lighting retrofit for the branch. And then finally, we have a partner department that's in the Benavides side of the building, and so they're bringing some funds to the table for the heating, ventilation, and cooling system, which we know is very important. So they're going to partner with us on the control system for that. So the total project budget for phase 1 is just over $2 million. So what's the scope? In short, we're basically touching every square foot of the existing library building. So we're bringing kind of all our best practices to the renovation project. So that includes the children's area, the teen area, as well as adding a Learn Center to the branch. Dale McNeil is going to speak a little bit later about some of the public service aspects and next steps. So he can share with you a bit more about the Learn Center, but that will be a very valuable addition to the branch. We're doing meeting room improvements right here in this very room. We're doing a refresh of all the technology really throughout the building, including the computer lab. There will be a digital exterior sign so the community can see what's coming up at the branch. Different programs, different activities can be kind of advertised on that sign. And then complete bathroom renovations, which is always a nice touch. So there's been some questions about how we're going to take care of the building. So I really wanted to take a moment to just assure everyone that we're going to really address the building systems. You can see at the back of this room that we're sitting in, we have a temporary spot cooler. Jessica's doing a Vanna White in the back, showing that. And so we want to really make sure that we're not just putting a Band-Aid on these things, that we're doing full replacements and making sure that the Las Palmas Branch Library is an asset to the community going forward. So this is the exciting part. Of course, you're very familiar with the branch library. So this just shows the new entry into the library where the current circulation desk is. What's pictured here is just a little bit of our self-service equipment where you can do self-check, but also sign up for a computer. It also shows some of the color palette, so it's going to be much brighter, more modern. This is the new circulation desk. which will be a big focal point of the library as you enter. But fortunately, you won't run into the circulation desk when you come in the door. So it's much more open. And then some of those special spaces I was mentioning earlier are off to the sides, like the teen area. So it really opens up the branch and provides a lot more functional space. And then this is the new computer area. So we will have a refresh of all the computers as part of the project. And then this will locate them in a little bit more usable space and give everyone a little bit of elbow room as they use the Connect Computer Lab. So I did want to just share with you, before I introduce Pam and Scott Carpenter, the architects, who will share with you the proposed design for Phase 2, kind of how it all works together. So one question that has come up is, what is the 2022 bond amount specific to the Las Palmas Branch Library? And the answer to that is $2.5 million. So of the overall bond project, which includes the West Side Strategic Area Plan, which is mainly outside the building. The library itself, of the $5.25 million project, the library project itself for Phase 2 will be $2.5 million. So that's kind of how we get to that overall total project budget. So the basics of what we heard from the community in the Phase 1 input was that there was a big desire to make the front of the building, where we have the plaza now, usable. So originally, when we just had the Phase 1 money, what the idea was to do the best we could, but that would probably be limited to shade and Wi-Fi access and some benches and things. By going back through the bond process with the support of the library board, we were able to secure that additional funding, and you'll see in a minute, the architects will present a pretty exciting plan for the enclosure of that space. So we're super excited about that. In addition, there'll be some enhancements to the lobby, because of course we want to make that connection with the new enclosed plaza space. There will also be parking lot resurfacing and restriping. It's important, to take care of our parking lot too. Our partners on the Benavides side, we really do kind of operate independently, so there will be a separate entrance for their staff to get to their staff area. And I think that'll help a lot with just the functionality of us not being dependent on one another to be open for their activities kind of versus the library activities. Landscape refresh, which you'll kind of get a flavor of that in a minute, and then additional technology improvements. So that enclosed space will also include technology. So with that, I will hand it off to Scott Carpenter, one of the architects for the project.
Thank you, Kathy. Appreciate that. And thank you all for being here this evening. It's always important to remember that you are the public in public libraries, and this is really important to have these engagements with you all. And we're excited about showing you what we've been doing on the Phase 1. Pam Carpenter, my partner, has been really the point of the spear on that project. And the two of us, we're only representing a larger team of engineers and other landscape architects and others who are contributing their talents to this. But we're really excited about the project, and we're really super excited about the Phase 2, because I think it helps to really tie up with a bow some of the aspirations that the community had when we first met with you all back in 2019 or 2017, whenever we were kind of having our first engagements with you. And what we heard at that time regarding the courtyard is that it's hot, the paint looks faded out there, it's not very welcoming, it doesn't reflect the community's growing, and we have greater needs. And this ought to reflect that. And we heard you loud and clear, and we really tried to be great stewards with the resources that were allotted for the Phase 1. And I can speak to the professionalism of the library staff and the project managers with the city, that really we worked very hard to try to stretch the public dollars for what we could get in Phase 1. And fortunately, the Phase 2 then is coming with some additional funding from the 2022 bond. And with that, it gives us the ability to go beyond just having, say, structures and maybe a few benches, but actually transforming in a very meaningful way this front entry courtyard and giving that kind of elevation of identity and status in the community of this important resource. Our public libraries, they serve a lot of different missions nowadays. They're not just for lending books, right? They're for meeting. They're an important part of after-school programs, important ways in which communities get together and discuss things. There are the elections that go on here. So they play a lot of roles. And so it's important to elevate that, I think, that profile of the library. And here you can see, and I'll point out with the laser here, you might be able to recognize some of the blue steel here is some of the existing structure that's out there right now. So we try to incorporate what is there, but transform it into something that is more responsive to the community's needs. These columns are existing as well, and of course this large wall is as well. But we were as part of phase one, already planning on repainting the exterior and making it more vibrant and more appealing. But with this phase two funding, we're going in and actually enclosing and creating what we're hoping is going to kind of be like a garden pavilion and really soften up that courtyard. Through this process, we're going to be removing a lot of the paving in here and putting in a structural slab underneath the pavilion itself. So it's going to be transformed, and that gives us the opportunity to do a little bit of enhancement in the landscape. Can't promise everything right now because it's still very conceptual, and we're still working through the budget allocations on it. But these palm trees are already existing, so they're mature, but we were looking at coming in and augmenting with some planting beds and to also set up some trellises and things that I'll show you in some other views that you can begin to grow some vines on. And that may not be at the end of phase two, that could be later on. Those could be community efforts to help soften that up. But there is an element of softening that we heard from your comments. In fact, we went back and read them. People were saying, we want vines, we want shade, we want security so that children can feel safe out there in the courtyard and not go running out in the street. So I think this begins to answer a lot of those requests that we heard. Now, we'll zoom down, go from floating up in the air down to in the parking lot and looking towards, oops, go back, there we go. This is the library side, the Benavides side, the Metro Health is over here. And this is that existing wall that's there. You can see the steel, but then we're coming in with glass, we're coming with cables, plantings, solar shading devices to protect that glass because we don't want it to heat up like a terrarium, right? We want to be good stewards of the energy use of this building as well. And coming in with some plantings. There's also going to be resurfacing and restriping of the parking lot and a new monument sign, which we're still hammering out on the design of that, but something much more fitting of Las Palmas Library. So if you step a little bit closer here, you can begin to see this is a kind of an evening shot, perhaps like if we were having this kind of meeting in the early evening. And so we really wanted to kind of play with a more kind of festive sense of entry here and softening up, reducing the amount of paving, creating opportunities for shade, for gathering, for people to have that sort of informal socializing, as well as having the opportunity to both bypass this and go into the library or to come in through doors right here directly. So during a public event where you have people kind of coming from several different directions, there's a way of opening it up and you don't get into kind of a log jam situation of people coming and going into the pavilion itself. You can also see these are some of the trellis vines that we're proposing here, or cables. If you want to see an example of this, go take a look at the parking lot over at near the Whitty Museum that's there in the park. They have some shade and vine structures there that we're thinking about. And these are solar shading devices to help protect the sun from protect the glass from the sun. If we hop inside, this is looking towards the library, and we have here sort of a screen wall, and behind that is something very similar to what's in here, where there is a counter, a sink, and the ability to, if you want to stage like a little buffet or drinks or iced tea or something for a community event or gathering, that's taking place behind the screen wall. And then from above, you could have a retractable screen and have presentations. Right now, we're showing it as though it's set up for a meeting very much like we're having tonight. It could also be set up for tables if you're having crafts or something like that going on, or sort of a roundtable discussion. We haven't quite decided any of that yet. I mean, we were really waiting to hear feedback from you all on how you want to use it, and then we'll figure out, working with staff, working with you all, kind of what is the appropriate type of furniture to go into this. The idea is, though, it would really work in companion with this room, and that this gives you a lot more flexibility of the type of meeting. So if you have a more intimate one, it might take place here. If you have a larger public meeting, that might take place out there. So it gives some choices and flexibility. It also allows you to have a breakout session. Maybe you have a bigger meeting out there, but you have a breakout session in this room. So we're really looking at trying to create as flexible a scenario as possible. Now, we're going to hop over and we're going to stand like right behind this young lady here and look at this direction in this next view. So here we're looking out towards the parking lot, and you can see above here a little bit better than that other view. All the horizontal beams here are existing. So those, if you go back out, when you head back out this evening, take a look and look up there. We're retaining all of that. You know, we want to be good stewards with what's here, but then we're building basically a truss to be able to create a sloped roof and also kind of create more volume to have it feel more generous. And we're proposing that maybe back here there's kind of more of a lounge area, and this main area is where it can be reconfigured for different kinds of meetings. You can also see right out here, there's those doors I talked about on either side. And if I go back here, these doors, there's two doors on either side of this, they line up directly with these two doors that you see here, these two sets of doors. And so it can really create kind of a loop situation. And if you need to go to the restroom, you go right out there, and just as the director mentioned, you know, you go left or right to the new sparkling restrooms, and can make use of that. So these are making a use of shared resources like the restrooms. That's it.
Thank you, Scott. Before I invite Dale McNeil to talk about interim service, I indicated Councilwoman Castillo could not be here this evening, but we do have someone from her office. Sakina Price, did I pronounce it correctly? Okay. Sakina is here representing District 5. And as I mentioned earlier, we have briefed Councilwoman Castillo and shared the conceptual design for Phase 2. I also want to recognize Jasmine Rodriguez and Ray Salinas representing Congressman Castro's office. They're here. Thank you. Welcome. And with that, I'll ask Dale to talk about interim services and next steps.
So good evening, everyone, and I'm happy to be here, and I'm very happy that you're here. So interim service, as probably a lot of you are familiar from the Memorial Library project, while the library is closed, we do make it a nearby place where you can pick up books that you've requested. For Las Palmas, that will be at the library at Our Lady of the Lake. So that's about a mile from here. It's about 5 minutes drive. Some of you have heard me say this in public meetings before. I ride the bus almost everywhere I go. It's about 6 minutes on the bus. And that's not me looking, that's me getting on the bus and seeing how long it takes. Of course, that's not counting waiting for the bus to come. So, but it's very easy to get there. I have to say, Our Lady of the Lake has been super welcoming. And you know, your experience with them, they're welcoming of the community anyway. So I think you're going to find that a welcome service there. We'll be there during the whole duration of the time that Las Palmas Library is closed. You'll be still seeing your same familiar staff. The hours will be a little bit less than the library because it's not really the full service. However, there will be an evening, at least one evening, and there will be at least one weekend day. And of course, you'll be hearing from us exactly what those hours will be very soon. Then we'll do some activities usually also during the construction in the community, but that will be the main place that we'll have interim service. As already mentioned, we will be accommodating the municipal elections that are coming up right here in this room where you're used to voting for elections. So the library will be closed. I think this is really important information for you to share with your neighbors. The library will be closed. People will hear that the library is closed. However, this room will be open. The parking lot will be open. Construction will be starting because I think we're all ready for it to be done. So we're going to accommodate though voting, parking, and that, of course, if there should be a runoff election, that would be held here as well. Then after that's completed, we'll be closing the whole building. And so, any elections that come up after that would need to be somewhere else. But we're already communicating with Bexar County Elections Department about that, and they'll be looking for, a great place to accommodate future elections. Kathy mentioned that we will have a learn area in the renovated Las Palmas Library. So if you happen to go by the new memorial library, you'll see we have designated an area. This is really for adults with a learning goal. So if you want to learn something, and that would include learning how to apply for a job or just help getting a job. It's like a library service in that you come in and somebody helps you. It's not like going to a class. You don't have to sign up. It's very easy, low-key service to use. And I think you'll find that whatever you or your neighbors are interested in learning, and that might be for some people a GED, it might be learning to speak English, but we've also had people come in that want to figure out how to get into medical school. So it can be whatever your learning objective is. We'll have a staff member here to help you in that area that will be designated in the library. But that's not going to be taking away any service that you already have. There will still be service for teens, for children, for adults. There will still be public computers. So it's just one more service that we'll be adding. So that's the Learn service, and thank you all.
Thank you, Dale. And I would be remiss if I didn't recognize Library Trustee Norma Montalvo, who represents District 5 on the Library Board of Trustees, and she's here. Thank you for being here, Norma. Are we ready to go Q&A? Okay. All right. So any individuals that would like to have any questions or would like to provide feedback regarding the conceptual design for Phase 2, the enclosure of the plaza? Again, we listened to you when we had the first community meeting regarding the renovation of the Las Palmas. One of the things that we heard consistently is to do something with the plaza so that it'll be utilized. Initially, we were talking about some kind of covering, and then the feedback came back. It would be great if we could enclose it. So that's what we're proposing, again, in response to your expressed interest and needs and wants. So I wanted to do that. So again, we are now opening the floor for questions, feedback, and I believe we have someone. And if you can come to the podium, just introduce yourself, and if I can't answer your question, I'll have one of the team members help me.
Hi, my name is Maria Salas, and I frequent the Las Palmas Library heavily, like once a week or 3 times a week. So this closing is going to affect me. But I'm glad you're doing something with that front plaza, because that really needed to do, something had to be done there, because it was just sitting there idly. But I did have some questions. There are some like homeless people that come here. So what was the library going to do about that? Because some of them like stay out there. And I've seen one lady, I think she spends the night out there. I'm not sure.
What we do consistently throughout the library system, we have 28 branches. Whenever we have issues that need to be addressed, we have staff that are responsible, that are assigned to address those situations. If it's individuals that are loitering and not using the library, we have a code of conduct, and if they're not following the code of conduct, there are certain steps that we can take to deal with that. So we will monitor any kind of situations like that and take appropriate action.
Yeah, some of them don't interrupt or anything, but they're just out there, and then the library closes, and then you still see them out there. So I'm like, maybe they're spending the night out there, because they don't have anywhere else to
We
go.
work with SAPD as well very closely, and other departments. If there are individuals that may need resources, we'll help with that as well.
Okay. And I have a question also. I was looking at your design there. Are you going to be having less computers available or more, or the same amount of computers?
Go ahead, Kathy.
I feel silly coming up to say one word, but more.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yes. So
Okay.
we'll have more computers, and they'll be more visible too to the community, because we'll have the desktop computers on the tables, but then also laptop computers you can check out.
All right, thank you. Yeah, because I saw the design, and, because I don't have a computer, so I really rely on those computers. Now, I was also going to ask you, wasn't there a previous upgrade to the library some years ago? Because I remember it closed. Yeah, I remember it closed. Not even, it was way before the pandemic. It was like 2010, 2011.
Well, I've been here a long time, and I don't recall an extended closure. I mean, we might have closed for several weeks if it had to do with the HVAC system, but not an extended closure that I can recall.
Oh, okay. Now, how long will it be closed, the library?
We're thinking anywhere 14 to 16 months. And we're a little hesitant because we learned from two projects that we just completed. Memorial took much longer than we expected.
Yeah.
McCreely's, we renovated that branch library. It took almost a year longer. And part of it was a lot of it had to do with the pandemic,
Right.
impacting work shortages as well as supply chain issues. So here we're keeping our fingers crossed. We're working very hard. Again, I introduced someone from Public Works. We will expedite the project as fast as we can, but sometimes we get surprises. So right now we're saying anywhere from 14 to 16 months.
Okay. Now, will it be updated on your website? Like
Yes.
so-and-so
Well,
is still closed or whatever?
One of the things that we're doing is providing monthly, am I correct, Jessica? Monthly updates on the projects to keep the community informed where we are with the project.
Okay. Now, the last question is, were y'all considering any solar panels?
I don't know, this branch is, I'll have Kathy. We have an initiative with another department where in some library locations, we're looking at installing solar panels as part of parking, using the parking kind of, well, I'll let Kathy explain a little more.
Yes, so that's exactly right. The city right now is in progress starting to do what they call on-site solar. And so there's several libraries, and Las Palmas is one of them, where we're looking at the potential to do that. And as Ramiro said, sometimes it's on the roof, which you see a lot around town, but sometimes it's a canopy that provides shade for parking actually too.
I've seen those.
Yeah, so this location is being considered. It's very early days for the project as a whole, so but I can share that with you. Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's all my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Yes, please, Ms. Peña.
Velma Peña. What is the capacity for that outdoor area? I saw a lot of chairs, but I'm just curious what the capacity is for the meeting room.
Almost 100
Oh, okay.
in that way that you saw it.
Because this capacity here is what, like 80 in here maybe?
70.
Something like that?
I would split the baby and say 50, but it's a
Okay.
little tight if you try
Yeah,
to put
obviously that space will be much larger, but what we presented to you tonight is conceptual. That's what we're planning to move forward. There may be some tweaks here based on some feedback. D5 office provided some feedback yesterday when we met with them. We will discuss that with the architects. So, but conceptually, that's what we're moving forward with. And so that space will be additional space for meeting and programs and activities for the community.
The other question is, for the 2022 bond, I thought that the extension of the library for the connection to up to the park was included in that 2022 bond?
It is.
Okay,
2.5 million is allocated to the library.
okay.
The rest of the money is allocated for that master plan, but I don't have any details about that. That's a different and separate project from the library.
So would that be considered like a phase 3 or what?
I don't know. Stacy, do you have any information on that?
Yeah, so it is a separate project.
Okay,
Yeah, we're not including that as an extension of the library project.
oh, okay. I'm confused by that.
It's still conceptual right now too, so
Okay.
there will have additional information.
But will through the library, will we get information on that? Like or it has to be through the city, through Public Works or
We'll partner with
what?
the city. We're all about providing information, and that project is important to this community. So certainly we'll partner with either Metro Health, D5 office, as well as Public Works to help disseminate that information. We're not we meaning the library, but we can facilitate information to inform the community what's going on with that other project. We'll work with them.
Did you say the year, what is the year that would take place?
That one is,
That connection?
It's a 2022 bond project.
Yes. But I'm saying, because I saw 2027 up there, so that was confusing for me, so I just wanted, if you can give me
it's
clarification on
the
that?
period that, generally it's a 5-year program where the projects are completed. So Stacy, I don't think he's prepared to tell you when that other project will start, but I'm sure the folks that are behind that project are starting to roll things. I expect that. I don't know that for a fact.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I hope that helped.
Yes.
All right?
We'll be better about coming up to the microphone to answer questions because I know they can't hear on the line. So just a housekeeping.
Thank you for that reminder. That's correct. So I have to use also the microphone and anyone that has a question. And so when I ask Kathy or Stacy, they need to come to there or there. Okay,
There's some questions from the virtual.
sure.
All right. First question is, will there be EV sites here at the Las Palmas Library?
Yes.
The next question is regarding the Hispanic Heroes mural that is inside the library. Has there been any thought given as to how to protect that mural when it moves to a new location, possibly in the hallway?
Yes.
Okay. The next question is regarding the Benavides Center. It says that have there been any more discussions on using the Benavides Center portion of the library building for its originally designated purpose, i.e. computer tech assistant classes, meeting areas for the community?
Not any current discussions. Some couple of years ago, actually when we started getting community input regarding phase 1, which we're about to start on March 20th, there were some questions about the same question. We worked with the council office at that time, Councilwoman Shirley Gonzalez, and also I advised the community that the avenue to look at that space would be the appropriate thing to do is to talk to the respective council member, which is District 5. I understand Metro Health utilizes that space and they need that space, but I can't speak for Metro Health. The short answer, there are no immediate plans, at least from the library perspective, to try to recapture or capture some of the space for library use. I think that was the question, that's something about computers.
Yes.
Again, that's about as much as I can tell you. I'm going on past history.
And the next question is regarding HVAC. I've been in the library during the summer when the AC is not working and during the winter when the heating system is not working. In lieu of upgrades, are there new and better AC and heating systems planned for the renovated library? And should the front courtyard be enclosed, is it being divided into several areas with appropriate AC heating?
The answer to the first question, of course, the whole HVAC system will be replaced with a new one, state of the art. The new space that will be captured by enclosing what we call internally, the plaza, will be fully air conditioned and will be climate controlled as well. We'll have climate control. Is that okay? And I believe those questions was from Delia Trimble, yeah, because I was prepared to cover those questions, but you already asked them. Any other questions, feedback, comments? Yes. Okay.
My question is the digital billboard. Is it going to be the language Spanish or English?
Both. Yes. So we'll have it as part of the monument sign that's still under design.
That's one thing my friends at the bus via say that why only English?
No, now everything we do, the library, we do it in bilingual,
But no,
English and
talking about
Spanish.
the signs. Most of the signs the city produces are always only English.
No, our commitment is bilingual, Spanish and English. Okay, sure. Ms. Peña?
Yes, I just have one more. Regarding the glass, is it going to be tinted? It is? Okay.
Yeah, just to reiterate, we are in a very conceptual stage with that addition, but we certainly will be working with our engineers to properly climatize the building, and part of that is figuring out, doing the energy calculations, how much solar penetration's taking place there. And so we're proposing that there be what's called a low E coating on the glass, which is kind of the state of the art in the glazing world, as well as probably a double pane insulated glass. And you also saw that we were proposing solar shading devices that actually cast a shade on it. So all those go into the technical calculations to figure out what are the heat loads that are induced by the sun at different times of the year. And so our MEP engineers will be studying that very closely.
One thing I have to say about that is every time I come, the heat's always on this direction. In this building here, I've been here 49 years, the heat's always on this side.
Oh, yeah. We've been out there in that courtyard in the afternoon doing measurements, and it comes beaming in. So that's why we're really, really thrilled that this project is being proposed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wanted to just I know you mentioned something about seating area as well, but just wanted to make sure that we do have seating areas, with sofas. I know we had talked about that in the past, but I just want to make sure we do have that, because I'm not sure what's going to be done with the hallway. I know we discussed this hallway, maybe having some seating area as well, so just food for thought.
Yeah, absolutely. The furnishing of that space is really important. Because of that rounded in, we call it an apse, kind of like at the back of a church, it's called an apse, doesn't lend itself to public meeting use so much, that it may be set up more as a lounge kind of configuration. And then we've talked about also the enhancements in the corridor as well that will connect it with this room, with the restrooms, as well as the library. And so we'll look at, what are the furnishings that make sense within that context as well.
Thank you, Scott. Somewhat related to that, when the staff was reviewing the conceptual design with me, one of the things I asked the staff is to work with the architects, Scott and Pam. We would like to be able to store, you see we have chairs back there and they're in the open. I think that's unsightly, and so that's a challenge we're going to look at. We may have to take part of the space of this room so that we can store any chairs that we may use for programs and so on to be used in that area. So we'll figure it out. I mean, that's a challenge that we've.
What about providing storage, like a storage unit in this yard here? Space. Okay.
We'll look at viable options that we complement.
Hi, I'm Linda Bocanegra, and I'm here with Velma with the Westwood Square Neighborhood Association, and that was part of our question, that what's going to happen to this little outdoor patio area. Could you kind of take the space for the chairs from there and not from in here, because we really need the meeting space, right?
Well, again, it's a challenge, so we'll figure it out. And we'll come back to the community and provide an update. So I don't have the answer yet.
So, because
But
we really need the space for our community meetings.
Okay.
Thank you.
So what I'm hearing is you want as well as that space that we will gain. All right, and that's consensus, right? All right.
Storage out there, if you're not gonna do anything.
All right, okay, we hear you, we listen.
And I mean, my suggestion is to put a storage shed right there.
Sure, absolutely.
And with
I mean,
extra chairs.
it's your library, okay? It's the library of the community,
If you
so.
want, I can donate it for free.
Pardon me?
If you want, I can donate it for free. I won the lottery.
Oh,
I did.
congratulations. Congratulations. Well, and thank you for your offer. I really appreciate it. You had a question?
Hey everyone, my name's Christina Lee, and I'm here representing the YWCA, which is your neighbors next door. So super excited about this project. Just looking at these pictures, wow, I'm really inspired. Like, this place is gonna be so awesome when y'all get done. And I mean, I just wanted to say thank you for your hard work. I know there's plenty of logistics, I'm sure, that have to be worked out, but wow, this really looks great. So I just had one quick question. I know I saw mentioned parking lot, right, and what that looks like. So being your neighbors next door, I know there's many times that we do events, and you guys are awesome with sharing your parking lot space with us, and vice versa. When you have overflow, we kind of share that space. Is there any plans to maybe kind of look at the parking lot space to create more spaces? I know that there's kind of that grassy divider in between us and the YWCA, and I don't know if that was considered maybe in the proposal, or if there's any plans to look at that to make more space.
I can respond to that. First of all, thank you for introducing yourself. As you know, the library really believes and embraces collaboration, and any opportunities that we have to collaborate on programs and services to the community, we pursue that. So and we will continue to do that. Now, the parking that we are working on is strictly related to the library, but I understand this master plan addresses parking for our neighbors, which includes you. But I don't know what the plan is at this point.
Well, let's table that. We need more space. We're both doing such good work that I would love to see that area kind of repurposed and to give more opportunities for parking. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your feedback.
Another virtual question is, can several study cubes be set up in the hallway?
We will take that under advisement. Good suggestion. We'll see if we can make it happen. Okay. Other comments, questions, feedback?
Just a big thank you from our community to you guys for being here for this area. We're long awaited, and we're so excited, and the community is very excited, and we thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you. From the staff's perspective, we know that the only reason we're here is to serve the community. I mean, and we never forget, the library belongs to the community, it doesn't belong to us. And so thank you for your participation, for making time from your evening to come and give us feedback. That was good feedback earlier about you want more meeting space, don't take my space for storage, find storage somewhere else. Okay, that's the kind of feedback we value. Yeah. No, that's the kind of feedback we value.
As we know, because we have a lot of meetings here, you should have seen, was it Tuesday? It was Tuesday.
It was overflowing.
It was overflowing. It was
No,
awesome.
that's really
It was
good.
awesome.
And that's the purpose of this meeting, okay, to hear you, to give you a voice. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Jessica, how many virtual participants do we have, by the way? I'm curious. 23? That's very good. That's very good. I think we've covered, from the staff's perspective, I think we covered all the points that we wanted to cover with you. Again, we shared with you the conceptual plan for phase 2. We will work with the library board. We take it to first the facilities committee and then to the full board in the next month or two for final approval. And we will keep you posted through regular updates where we are with the project. And again, we're here for you. Kathy, yes?
I don't want to steal the last word from my boss, but also City Architect Byron Smith is here. So Byron's well with us tonight. So I just wanted to mention.
All right. Welcome, Byron. We haven't met, but we were scheduled to meet, I think, earlier this week. But I think we're going to meet next week. Okay, if there's no other feedback, I'm looking at Jessica, see if there's no last-minute virtual questions. If not, thank you for coming tonight. The rain's has not arrived yet, so you have time to get home and be safe. Okay, thank you again for being here. Thank you. We need the rain, right?
Yeah, we need